I'm basically on a mission to help teen dating get better than it is right now. The problem is, like, if there was an actual safe teen dating app, that would be leagues better than what's going on right now. I don't know if you know the statistic, but 45% of men ages 18 to 25 have never asked out a girl. It's not based on my personal experience. It's not what does 16-year-old Elle have to say. It's what do all of these teen psychologists have to say. Now, with modern day social media, Snapchat being the main app that teens date on, the landscape is completely different to the point where parents can't even help because they don't know what's going on. The number one thing, every teen knows what this means. It's WYLL, and that stands for what you look like. Not even like, hey, can I see what you look like? WYLL is what guys will send girls when they first add them on Snapchat, and so then girls will send them photos, and guys will sometimes just straight up block them after seeing them. It is just crazy.
The big silence, empowering personal experiences, inspiring compassion, and healing lives. We are no longer silent. We are here.
The Big Silence.
Welcome to the Big Silence podcast, Elle Christine.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
I know. Well, I had the pleasure to have your mom, Andra, on the
Yes.
podcast. And we had such a great conversation and talking about the kindness campaign. And obviously your name came up. And she's like, you need to talk to my daughter. I was like, she told me more about you. I was like, let's do it. So tell us about you. Introduce yourself.
My name is Elle Christine. I am a 16-year-old junior in high school, and I'm basically on a mission to help teen dating get better than it is right now. It's a total nightmare right now for teens all across the world, and my sole purpose is just trying to make that better for as many teens as possible.
That's amazing. I think, well, number one, I probably needed your help when I was in high school, and I'm married now, but I have a lot of friends that should probably listen to this and take this advice. Okay, I just want to mention, too, you just kind of came from taking your SATs.
I did.
And then after this interview, you're going back to school.
Back to school. Yep.
That's cool that they let you take a break.
I actually go to the most incredible school in the world. It's called Alpha, and we use AI to learn twice as fast in just 2 hours. So I do all of my academic work in 2 to 3 hours every single day, and then the afternoon is spent on developing life skills and working on a passion project. So that's how I got to work on this and leave school after my SAT to come do an interview with you.
Wow. That is incredible. Is it a private school?
It is.
Okay, I was going to say, I don't
Yeah.
And so, okay, now this makes sense, and we're going to get into AskElle, your avatar. So, okay, let's talk about dating in high school.
Yes.
So why did you, first of all, even show an interest to want to help with the psychology of dating?
So a little bit embarrassing, but I think every single 8th grader can relate. But I was a little obsessed with boys when I was 13. In 8th grade, that was kind of the obsession of the time. And it was me and my friends, and we were sitting around and we were talking about boys. And I just started to realize that there was such a disconnect from what we were expecting from boys and wanted from boys and what was actually happening. It's just, I don't know if moms know this, but their sons are being educated by the worst parts of the internet. I think it's the average age that teens get into a relationship is 13 to 14, but the average age that boys start watching porn is 11. And so their first introduction to seeing women in like a different kind of light is through porn. And so it has just become so destructive. When you look at the texts that us girls are being sent, I mean, in 8th grade, a lot of my friends have screenshots of boys begging for nudes. And it just became so apparent to me that there was such a problem, and I wanted to be the voice for the teen girl population. And I do address that girls are not perfect either, that they have a lot of issues as well going on. But it started because I wanted to speak out and kind of give, because it's not that boys don't want to be don't want to be a good boyfriend, good in that sense. It's just that they're getting the wrong advice and they don't know what to do. And so I started posting on TikTok, and I went 0 to 100,000 followers in 6 weeks. And while I would like to say it's because I'm some expert at the algorithm, knowing how to go viral, using good lighting, that couldn't be farther from the case. I would literally prop up my phone in dark lighting and speed up a video of me talking and put text over it. And it was because I realized how important this information is. And when you look up teen dating on TikTok, only my videos come up. There's such a scarcity for this resource. And that got, really shown to me with how many DMs I was getting. I was getting hundreds of DMs from girls every single day just asking, oh, like does this boy like me? They just wanted answers to super simple questions. They weren't like super difficult. They were like the basic social skills that teens just hadn't developed. And so what I did was I realized I was spending all my personal time responding to these like paragraphs of long stories from girls about their dating woes. And I decided that I needed to do something. And at school, we were learning about AI and how it was revolutionizing every aspect of life. And I was like, why can't I create an AI avatar that will give teen boys the advice that girls want them to hear? And so I spent the next 2 years really crafting first a second brain, making sure that it was all expert advice. It wasn't just what does a 16-year-old Elle think, but actually what are the teen psychologists, dating experts. I even have a panel of moms who vet everything that the bot says.
Okay.
And I uploaded it to this AI avatar. And now I have an app where you can press down, hold to talk, ask any dating related question, and the bot will respond back with advice that's vetted and safe and is hopefully going to help give more guidance to these boys and girls.
That's amazing. Yeah, your mom showed it to me when she was here. I was like, okay, this is really cool.
Yeah.
And I love that so obviously a lot of moms do listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
So this is going to be very good information because I never thought that our teenage boys are learning from porn.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was in high school, my neighbor used to get Playboy magazine.
And that was like very
That was
scandalous.
like, me and my friends would be like, go get the magazine.
Yeah.
We're like educating ourselves on, I don't know what.
I think that right there is the exact reason that teen dating advice is so needed right now in this generation is before, if you had a real actual problem, you can just go to your parents. If you maybe it wasn't like the number one like favorite thing to do was ask your parents for dating advice, but you had that option. But now with modern day social media, Snapchat being the main app that teens date on, the landscape is completely different to the point where parents can't even help because they don't know what's going on. When I tell my mom, he just saved my Snap and chat, every teen knows what that means. But a parent is like,
what does that mean?
Tell
us. What does that mean?
Well, it's like Snapchat is such a different, like, there's a complete, like, whole vocabulary around it where it's like when you save a Snap and chat, that's indicating interest. When you like a story on Instagram, you're basically in love with her. And it's become this, like, push and pull where it's like you can't do too much and you can't actually express interest. And so it's just completely changed.
Okay. So technically, it's like teenagers have dating apps.
Yes.
And it's called Snapchat.
Yes. That's the problem is like if there was an actual safe teen dating app, that would be leagues better than what's going on right now, which is you add someone. The way Snapchat works is you just add someone that it says you have mutual friends with. That's it. That's all you know about this person is that you have mutual friends with them. You add them and then you start snapping with them. And it's just so like photo focused. The number one thing, every teen knows what this means. It's WYLL. And that stands for what you look like. Not even like, hey, can I see a photo? What you look like. WYLL is what guys will send girls when they first like add them on Snapchat. And so then girls will send them photos and guys will sometimes just straight up unadd, like block them after seeing the it is just crazy.
Crazy, cruel. Like when you're not ready. I mean, because you know about all the adult dating apps, I'm sure.
100%.
Yeah. But this is this is such an interesting conversation. And teenagers need to be educated on this. And it must really mess with your mental health too if you're constantly being rejected so simply. And I can imagine even some bullies can play around on there just to intentionally hurt your feelings.
Oh, yeah. That's like such a huge thing is it's like, am I being messed with? Like what is like being unadded, being left unopened? There's just so many more ways that you can be like micro targeted, micro bullied out where like you couldn't actually bring that to someone and be like, it's not like actual straight up bullying, but it honestly hurts just as much when someone you thought was romantically interested in you just like completely unsads you out of the blue.
I mean, when I was growing up, they just ghost you and that hurts. Now they can ghost you easier on technology. They can reach you easier and pull you in easier because it's not a face-to-face contact.
Right. That's the difference. It's also led to like it's called like micro cheating, which is like kind of like a on the rise vocab right now.
Okay.
Which is basically like, is it cheating if your boyfriend likes another girl's bikini photos? Is it cheating if like all of these small things that like are so new, where it's like it's just like there's a lot of unclarity, like it's just very unclear, and parents, I mean, teens don't even know themselves what's going on, and parents can't help with that.
Okay, so let's talk to the parents first. Advice for the parents to check in with your teen, talk about it. I mean, and also you can say teens don't want to talk to their parents about it.
Yeah, I think that there's two things. The first is getting educated so that you're speaking the same language as your teen. Where like what my dad does is he'll go he'll ask me about it as well, but like he'll go on TikTok and like figure out like what all the terms mean, and like so like when I say something, he's like, I know what that means. Like I looked that up, and so like I think like taking the time, that's something that my bot does as well. Is if you download it as a parent, you can ask it what these like situationship, what does that mean? And it'll give you kind of like the teen explanation for what it means. But I think that like learning the language, that when you're talking to your teen, you don't feel like this like foreign like language that you're like now battling. You're like you're speaking to your teen on the same playing field. I think that that's super important. And then I also think that if you know that your teen's not going to talk to you, then I think giving them a resource like my app, something that they can talk to, because I think that right now they're getting advice from the toxic parts of TikTok. You know, the man eater, like all of that kind of.
The man eater?
Oh gosh, that's all like, you have to have as many men as possible, and like, but like don't like any of them. It's just teaching girls the exact wrong thing. Or something super popular with girls is it's like, I teach against this all the time, but it's like knowing that something's bad for you. Like every girl's like, oh, I want like a perfect boyfriend who's like nice and caring and respectful, but then they ditch that guy and they go for the age as old as time, choosing the bad boy over the one that's good for
adults
you.
Too.
Yes.
It starts young, and then you gotta.
And I think actually a big reason for that is that sometimes maybe the bad boys come with like a higher social status, which has become a big thing for teens, where dating has become a very social thing, in the sense where if you have like if you have that football quarterback boyfriend, you're considered like more more popular, and so girls are ignoring all these red flags, you know, like sending doing whatever they're saying and ignoring all of these red flags so that they can get that boost, which means nothing.
Are they actually sending nudes in high school?
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, I think it's something like 60% have sent nudes, and the
Have
worst
you sent a nude?
I would rather, because the difference is
Your mom's listening.
my mom, like, she's
You're like,
really
yeah, I
listened.
do it all the time.
But the difference is, what's crazy is that teens don't know it's illegal. I think that, and that is considered one of the reasons. There was a survey done that I think it was like 80% of teens said they wouldn't have. 80% of teens that have sent nudes said they wouldn't have had they known it was illegal, because it's become so normalized. I use this on my TikTok sometimes, that sexting is the new first base, where it's just kind of like a way to show interest. And it's like insane. It's literally distribution of child pornography. And it's just like on the daily.
Let that soak in. If you're listening and you have teenagers, I mean, I feel like there's just a casual way to come up, like educate your kids on that too.
Yeah. I think that that's like a big one, because that is something that's life ruining. I had a friend who moved schools, and the first week of school, her nudes got passed around the entire football team and then the entire school, and then still we're juniors and people still talk about it, and it's like it just ruins your whole experience.
How is she mentally now, and like how did that affect her?
We're not super close, so I heard about it because everybody heard about it, and that was such a problem. But she's doing better now. She's like a boyfriend. She's doing better. But it's so common, and it's so destructive.
Ugh, that's awful.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about. Well, first of all, I want to ask you, where did you learn all of this, and what is your SAT score going to be? Probably like whatever.
Well, at my school we have to get a 1500 by December, and I haven't quite cracked it yet. But today I went up like 100 points, which was really good. So I'm really close, which is great. But where did I learn all of this dating advice? Well,
and psychology of a teenager.
Basically, I read everything I could get my hands on. I would spend 2-3 hours every single day researching everything there is to know about it, and I put it all in a second brain, which is basically just 100 pages of deeply researched advice. And what I would do is I would take the insight out of it. So like I would read a paper about dating apps for adults, and I'd be like, how does this relate to teenagers? And I'd write a little one-liner. And then what I did was I uploaded all of those one-liners as well as my TikTok content to my avatar, and that's where it gets all of its information from.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what college degree do you want to get?
Well, my sister is at Stanford University.
Of course.
And she's doing super cool things. She
Yeah.
has a newsletter teaching parents how they can help get their teen into Stanford, how they can have a better relationship with their teen. Her newsletter is awesome for anyone listening.
What
It's
is
The
it?
Austin Scholar.
Oh, okay.
I love that my mom mentioned me. I mentioned my sister. We're keeping it
Wow.
all. But I would love to join her at Stanford, and
Yeah.
I want to study psychology. So
Yeah.
that's my passion.
Wow. Well, if you need an internship.
Oh, don't say those words to me. I'm getting excited.
So Stanford is the goal,
Mhm.
and obviously you will get in.
But honestly, the reason I'm doing this is beyond Stanford. Like,
Yeah.
I think that this isn't, like a senior project. I'm
Yeah.
not even a senior yet, but this is like how I see the next 10, 20 years of my life spending, because I just feel like I've recognized such a problem and a gap in the market.
Mhm.
And another part of my app actually is the 45, I don't know if you know the statistic, but 45% of men ages 18 to 25 have never asked out a girl. Like
18 to 25.
18 to 25.
Okay, why is that?
So exactly. So that's I saw that statistic and my mind was blown that 50% of boys aren't asking girls. That is, and teen sex and teen dating is way, way down. And I was like, why is this? And when I was looking into it, the number one cause was fear of rejection.
Mhm.
And what I think this comes from is teens missed with COVID, teens
Yeah.
missed so much valuable social skill building time where they spend it like by themselves or only interacting on Snapchat or Discord or all of the other social media apps. And so they miss that in-person time where now it feels like it's built up in their head where they're like, oh my God, if I ask her out like in person, that's so horrible. And so I built into my app a way for teens to still make that connection without the fear of rejection. I'm training them on how to deal with that. But basically you can put in who you have a crush on at your school, and it will only notify you or them that you put them if they put you back. So it's basically like only matching people who like each other on the app to create those connections without that fear of rejection.
So does anyone go outside the app and talk in person and be like, hey,
Yes.
at lunch or
Yes. So
Okay.
I've had so many, oh my God, the DMs I get are just like, they warm my heart. But there's a little bit of a messaging aspect in the app, but that's really purely just to be like,
Yeah.
how like very, very simple. The app basically is like get in person. What are you doing? Get offline. It is not a relationship. Online relationships, all of that, very common now. I don't believe those to be real relationships unless you're in person and you are actually with that person, spending time with them. That is what is valuable about a teen relationship. You're not dating to marry 99% of the time. What you're dating is to figure out things about yourself, what you like, what you don't like, and building up like the ability to ask someone out, building up the ability to break up with someone, those habits, because the neural pathways that develop when you're dating, the hormones that are released when you are a teenager, that's why you remember your first love so well. They're cemented in your brain. And so don't we want those to be good experiences and not super negative? And so just making sure that those habits that you're forming when you're a teenager are good. They need to be in person. You need to be putting yourself out there. And another thing is you can't be, so many teen girls do this, but it's going on a date with the intention of how do I get this person to like me versus am I compatible with this person? Is it an actually good relationship? And so making sure that the dating is, you're getting over that fear of rejection, hopefully. And we kind of cross that bridge with my app where it's like, you can get into a relationship, but then like eventually I do like rejection training on the app, making sure that they aren't scared of that, but it's building the social skills that you can't really just build over the phone.
I love what you said, how dating as a teenager is not for marriage. It's learning about yourself.
Yes.
And that's so important to point out and educate teens on.
Yes.
Because definitely my generation is like, okay, like you think you're just going to be in love with this one person and it's meant to be rest of
Yeah.
life. And then you
Yeah.
put so much pressure
That's
and then they
crazy.
let you down so hard. But I
Mhm.
just want to repeat that, like dating in high school is getting to know yourself and having relationships and learning
That's
rejection, learning all of these skills that you need.
I have so many parents telling me, like, my kid doesn't need a date in high school because they're not dating them to marry them. And what they don't understand is there's so much value in that social connection
Yeah.
where you're like learning how to do it so that when you're 25, you've asked out a girl in your life, you know, like just things like that where it doesn't, you don't lose all of those social skills because that's what dating is at the end of the day. It's another social skill that you build when you're a teenager. But today, people aren't really building it.
Yeah. So, what would you say for a shy girl in high school and she has a crush on a boy?
Mhm.
What does she do?
Well, I think she should download my app and put him as her crush.
Yeah.
But I think that I have so much that's the funny part about my TikTok is it's not like this like groundbreaking advice.
Mhm.
It's simple, straightforward. Your soulmate would want to date you. Things like that are like maybe common sense but
Mhm.
aren't right now. The shy girl, talk to him. Maybe even flirt with him. You know, it's not groundbreaking stuff. I
Mm.
maybe break it down and make it a little easier on my platform, but it's basic social skills that teens just don't have right now.
Yeah. I wasn't even thinking that, 2020 and what happened there. And
Mhm.
so as adults, we still have those repercussions. But then
Right.
obviously as teens,
Yep. Yep.
like what is the most that you see with social skills in teenagers?
Mhm.
Or even in your experience, like,
Mhm.
did you not see your friends for a long time?
Yeah, my school was honestly one of the better ones. We were only
Yeah.
shut down for like 8 months.
Yeah.
But like 8 months, no social interaction. Stayed in the house. I would maybe go out, but it almost put this like stigma on social interaction where it was
Mhm.
like staying far away and like all of that,
Yeah.
which necessary to get over a pandemic, whatever.
Yeah.
But not great for developing social skills. Like especially, I was in middle school when it happened, and so I was kind of like in that crucial developmental period where it's like, okay, this is where you learn how to talk to someone, how to go up to someone, all of those very crucial social skills. And I think that a lot of my peers lost those. And then what I think really happened with COVID was it introduced a new form of dating because you couldn't
Mhm.
date in person. And so it just really amplified dating online with Discord and with Snapchat. And then it's an easier way to date. You can do it from your bed.
Yeah.
And so we just haven't gotten back over that where like now boys are like, why would I take a girl on a date when I can just like text 6 girls on my phone? You know what I mean?
I know. Well, even for adults too, with the apps, dating
Mhm.
can easily become lazy.
Yes. Yes.
You don't have to put in effort. You
Yeah.
don't have to take someone, like you said, out on a date. You don't have to spend the money. You don't.
Mhm. Yeah.
and-
It either made the guys that are super naturally like charismatic and not scared of rejection go online and just become lazy, and then it's also kind of become an excuse for those who don't, those who are maybe it's created this incel culture where it's like it's fine you play video games in your room all day, or as a girl you just sit and like maybe study whatever it is you're doing. It's just become like acceptable to not be doing things in person with someone where
Yeah.
it's called being in a situationship where maybe you don't go on dates and instead you just text all night and then in person he ignores you in the hallway because he's scared, and it's like that's the culture that's developing, and that doesn't lead to
Yeah.
long-term healthy relationships.
No,
that
that
leads to
doesn't.
just anguish over this relationship over and over and over again.
Okay. So, what are some tips for confidence
Mm-hmm.
for, say, you have what is it, situation?
Situationship.
And then you see him or her in the hallway
Mm-hmm.
and you want to say hi.
Yep.
And maybe you're both shy or just like maybe or maybe you're just keeping it on the side.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. But someone who's like, I want to introduce myself
Mhm.
and I'm scared.
Yeah.
Tell it, how do we teach confidence?
So I think that confidence, I am like very confident, but I wasn't always that way. In middle school, I was super shy. Like I didn't want to talk to people, and you wouldn't even believe that talking to me now because what I believe is, I would say 3 things. One, that nobody's confident in something that they haven't done before.
Mhm.
You know, like
Very
you don't
true.
you're not just born with this natural confidence to go talk to people. And so it's doing it over and over again and being okay. We do rejection therapy on the app, which is basically like, go ask the mayor of Austin to be officially knighted and considered a knight. He's going to say no, and that is okay, but it's being okay with that no, and then applying that to social skills where it's like, don't start with your crush. That's intense. You have a lot of emotional connection to that person. So start with a random person in the hallway. How would you strike up a conversation with them? Because it's so much easier to, oh, hey, like I like your shoes. Super easy, super casual. How do you do that? And then you work up to being able to talk to your crush because it's not just, it's way more scary. And then I think the second thing is being prepared, over prepared. I say this mainly for dates, but I think this totally works for just going up to someone in person. I do this personally, and people think it's a little bit psycho, but I come up with, every time I'm nervous for the date or anytime they're nervous to go talk to that person, write down a conversation starter that you could have with them. What is one conversation that you could have with them that wouldn't be awkward? So an example, you both like the same music, just writing that down really quick so that in the back of your mind, you have like a plethora of fallbacks that if the conversation's not going naturally, what can you like pull out that will like save you in that situation? So you're going into it with confidence of, I've done this before. I have a bunch of conversation starters. And then the third is, I would just say, pretending is kind of the best thing, is pretending he already likes you. Pretending he already likes you back. How would you act towards him? You wouldn't be all nervous, wondering, oh my gosh, like, does he like me back? You'd be confident and you'd be yourself, which is in itself more attractive and will make that person like you. So like those are like the three things that I would tell a girl, and it's very specific to the situation. And my bot might actually give more specific, better advice than that. But I think in general, it's just like knowing that no one's born with it, and actually realizing that it's a skill you have to work towards.
I agree with that. I was also very shy. I would not talk to anyone. Grade school, junior high, probably high school too.
Yep.
Everyone, if you don't talk and you're shy, then you're called a bitch.
Yep. Oh my gosh, she doesn't talk to me. I don't talk to anyone. Like, it's not you, I promise. Like, yeah.
But
totally.
and then it's those getting used to rejection.
Yeah.
Doing those change is uncomfortable, and putting yourself in those situations where now I can go on stage and speak in front of thousands of people.
Right. That's not something you were born with.
No.
Exactly. And I think that teens, like when they see like their peers who are naturally very like outgoing, and naturally is the key, very outgoing, they think like, oh, I'm just not that kind of person. Nobody is inherently that kind of person. Maybe some people are born extroverts versus introverts, but at the core, being able to be a good conversationalist comes with practice, not natural ability.
Yeah. So do you practice what you preach in your dating life?
Oh, I am always so scared of this question, honestly.
I know.
Coaches don't play, but I think that one of the things that I preach is that you should know yourself. Are you ready for a relationship? Don't just get into a relationship because you think it's the right thing to do. You have to, or it's like a social thing where you're pressured if you're not. So for me right now, I understand that I'm working on my business. And for me, I think I preach this to a lot of girls where it's like, you shouldn't be actively seeking out a relationship. Yeah. But if someone comes your way, like that's like, be open to getting to know that person, but don't be like outwardly searching. Right. And so that's like, honestly, what I've been doing. I go to a school with 8 students in my grade, so the pool is
little
minuscule. But yeah, I think I'm focused more on giving the dating advice.
I get it. I mean, hey, there's therapists who like marriage therapists who are going.
I think my main thing is that it's not based on my personal experience. It's not what a 16-year-old I'll have to say. It's what do all of these teen psychologists have to say. And I can say that even if I'm not dating someone. Yeah.
Well, I can sense like boys might be intimidated by you.
I think that is a big thing. It's funny dating as like a teenager when I'm working on like a big project, because I'm not trying to make him jealous with another guy. I'm genuinely busy all of the time. Like, this is also what I preach on my TikTok is you should never be like, oh, I can't hang out with you because I'm like hanging out with another guy. Like, never try to one up him on the guy level, like when you have a roster of a lot of guys. One up him with your life. Actually be busy. Actually be interesting where he's fighting for a place in like to fit into your life. And that's what you want to have a better relationship, become more interesting, like do more things, pick up a hobby, whatever. And that's definitely something like, I'm always
Yeah. What's your hobbies? What do you do
hobbies.
what
I
do you do
played
for fun?
well, I played volleyball for a really long time, or for like middle school and the beginning of high school. I like went and played at Harvard and Dartmouth, and I thought that was what I was going to do for the rest of my life. And then I ran into this, and that kind of took over my life. I mean, I spend all day talking with. I'm doing a big marketing push the next 2 weeks because the app just finished developing like 1 or 2 weeks ago. So I've been doing like beta testing, and I'm doing my big marketing push this week and next week. And so I'm studying for the SAT. I'm doing podcasts. I'm reaching out to as many influencers. I reach out to like 50 influencers a day. Hey, will you promote my product? I'm like just constantly hustling for that. And so yes, I have free time, but it's like I only would date someone if it was like an add to my life.
Yeah.
And I think that guys are a little intimidated by it because it's just something that they don't experience that much.
Yeah.
Like meeting a girl who's like doing
So
very
much.
busy.
Yeah, I can see that. You got to have someone that matches you there.
Yes, yes, agreed.
And that you can learn from and learn more about yourself.
Yeah, totally. I always say like you should never date someone that you wouldn't. If someone told you, you remind me of the guy you're talking to, would you be offended or would you be like, oh, awesome? Because you are the average of the people you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
That's why I hate the I can fix him trend because yes, you can fix him, but at what cost to yourself? You know, you become the people that you surround yourself with. And so I'm always talking about how you should find someone that uplifts you, that makes you better, that makes you leans into your productive and like makes you want to like go get it and like what gives you that fire, and not someone who just like brings you down and you feel like you have to fix.
Yeah. What are some of the red flags that teens can see when it's the
very beginning
Yeah.
stages? I mean, I think it's so specific to the situation. That's the thing about red flags. And what I think that I would say overall, what people are missing is girls are indoctrinated with romance novels the same way that boys are indoctrinated with porn. Same thing, even though they're very different. Because girls have made it up in their mind where they want this guy that only thinks about them, but is also wildly successful, and it's just like this weird list of things actually to put together. There's possessive over her. And so when they see those traits in real people, the problem is they don't actually actualize very well in real people.
Yep.
You know, so when they see those traits, they're like, oh, this is the one, and they kind of skip over the red flags. If he does like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what's like enemies to lovers, but it's like that is actually just someone who's not very kind. And so it's like girls tend to fall into like the skipping over the red flags because they're like, this is my my romance fantasy, which is just usually not playing out how they want it to.
Well, I don't know about you, but we were raised on Disney, right?
Yes, I think that over the pandemic as well, but I think that in general, like romance novels, specifically like ones like Mafia Boss Leader, have like really risen among teenage girls.
Okay.
And it's honestly just as destructive for girls as porn is for guys, because it like just in the way where that's how guys are interacting with girls, it's girls are seeing this like guy that's put on this pedestal who's actually maybe like stalking her and very possessive, and just because he did a huge grand gesture for her doesn't make up for all the actions. And so like that's how they're seeing like this dream relationship.
Are these novels written for teenagers or they're adult
I would
books?
say no.
No,
I would
okay.
say most of them are definitely not.
No. Okay, but teens are getting their hands on them.
Yep.
Okay. Oh my gosh. So parents, go find out what your teens are reading.
I think that is just as important as anything else.
Like, yeah, the information going
Mm-hmm.
in. See what your sons are watching on the computer.
I think that's like my best advice for parents as far as social media goes, because I wasn't allowed to have social media until I was 13.
Mhm.
I had it when I was 11. Mom, if you're close your ears. But I think that the main thing is that if you just restrict it, teens are just going to find a way around your rules, and then that's going to be another reason they can't come to you if something's wrong. And so I think instead having an actual conversation where it's like, okay, you can be on these social media platforms, whatever, but putting up guardrails around it, and also telling them that you're going to be monitoring them, because being able to have them make their own decision where it's not like there's just a bunch of rules where they're just like the moment they're lifted, they go crazy, but actually being able to develop their thought process of, oh, but mom might find out that's probably not good. This thing probably isn't good. Maybe I shouldn't do it, rather than mom just said I can't do it. And so like just having an open conversation where you're like, okay, you can have Snapchat, but you can only have your 5 friends added, and like actually monitoring that would be like my best advice for like combating the insane world of everything being available to your teen. My mom always told me you can never unsee, unhear what someone said, and you can never unsee, unhear what you see online. And so it's just like always making sure that what you're consuming is something that you're fine with remembering for the rest of your life. And so just like kind of like subtly teaching your teen like, hey, like this is like sexting is illegal.
Yeah.
Like just teaching them things like that rather than just restricting it completely, because yes, it would be ideal if teens weren't on Discord or Snapchat at 11 years old.
Oh
but
my
if you restrict
gosh.
it, that's probably not going to stop it.
Gosh, I hope the 11-year-olds aren't sending nudes.
You'd be surprised.
Oh my dear Lord. Okay. What is the state of mental health and mental wellness in high school right now?
I mean, I think every single statistic ever is just proving that it is going down the drain right now. I think that it was especially bad in COVID, and I think it's getting better, but I think that it's still in this very fragile state. And I think it comes down to like a lot of the like romanticization around like these destructive behaviors. Like, oh, look at me, like I'm a loner, I don't talk to anyone. And it became super popular in COVID because people were like finding community, but then it kind of flipped and became like this like thing you were like trying to be, when it's probably not something like you should strive to find. So it was like there's a balance between like finding community and then like being like your behaviors being approved by your peers, because then that just makes them worse.
So being an outcast and being is like cool.
Yes.
Which is so interesting because post-COVID, there's the loneliness epidemic.
Yes.
And the stats are loneliness is like smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
Right.
It's worse. Worse. Yeah.
I couldn't agree more with that. I think that it's one of the most destructive things ever to be lonely and feeling like you can't get out of it. And that's another huge reason I built my app, was like having someone that you could talk to and giving you actionable steps of how to get out of that. Because I think for teens, a lot of it comes down to like they're scared of rejection, so they don't like reach out and make those connections. They they think they're like not cool, or like they don't think they have like a good personality, like crazy things like that are just not true. And so it's like I just want to develop a platform where teens could talk and get actual advice that's not what the internet is saying, which is like it's okay to be lonely, like it's okay to have really bad mental health, when the truth is you should not be depressed at 13. Like that is a bad sign. It's not something you should be like excited about, which is like online kind of the culture.
Yeah. But I mean, there is situational depression, and how can parents see that in their child and recognize it and reach out in a way that doesn't push them away?
I think that as far as reaching out to your teen, I think it's very delicate, because teens react the best to people that they feel are just giving them information, aren't like looking down on it, like are just giving them the information that they feel is like right, like and correct, and that they don't have like an emotional stake in it. Like getting advice from your friends can feel like kind of personally targeted. If like my friend was like, hey, like you seem like sad lately, I'd be like, no, I'm not. Like, why do you think that? Or if my mom was like, hey, like, I've been noticing you've been in your room a lot lately, I'd be like, okay.
I'm still like that as an adult. If my husband's like, why are you so angry? I was like, I'm not angry. He's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I just took a deep breath. I'm fine.
I'm fine. And exactly. And it kind of creates something where you immediately just get defensive. And you're like, oh my gosh, no, that's not true. But when, what I've seen from like my bot at least is when teens are talking with it, it's a very open conversation where the bot is like, I've trained my bot to be very kind and very nice. But she gets straight up information, but it doesn't feel like your mom telling you it. It just feels like this expert. It feels like not a therapist. That's the wrong word, but someone who actually has correct advice, like a friend who's not at all connected to your situation. I think about it a lot. Like when you meet a girl in the girls' bathroom and you tell her about your situation and she just gives you the best advice you've ever heard and then she leaves. Like that's what like basically my avatar is, where it's like it's not connected to the situation, but she just gives you banger after banger of advice. And I think that that's like a really good way to like tell teens, because it doesn't feel like they're being attacked. It feels like they're trying to be helped. And also like when you're the one like seeking it out, it feels more like you're doing it rather than someone's like telling you to do it. And that's when you like get defensive.
Yeah. I'm going to download your app. Where can you get your app?
You can get it on the App Store right now. I'm hopefully going to have it on the Google Play Store in the next few months, but that's kind of a process. So right now it is just on the App Store, iOS. Yeah.
Does it cost anything?
It is free at first, and like the crush and the ship feature, those are free. But you have to, it's $10 for basically a month or two of advice, because it's on a heart system. So you pay for the hearts. And basically what I have to do is I want to say convince, but I think it's like tell parents that their teen does actually need this. Like I'm tempted to just like show the text that boys have been sending me and be like, your teen needs this. Like this isn't just like another app this is like crucial to their social development and for them getting a date. Like I have so many parents like, oh, like my son can't get a homecoming date. Why is that? It's like, let me show you the texts, download my app, and AskElle will turn that around.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. And parents or teen, get the app for your teens.
Yes.
Because
totally.
Otherwise, they're downloading all these other apps and getting bad information.
That was what I said, was you can't take teens offline. Like in the ideal world, yes. Take online out of it. Take social media out of it. Have teens date in person. That is great. Have parents set up arranged marriages. That's literally one of the best actual like proven ways for them to stay together. But that is not the course of the world, and it's pointless to even think about. And so what I try to do every single day is put one more good video onto the For You page for teens, put one more good app it's addictive with the crush and the ship feature, gets them hooked on it, but then actually tricks them into really learning these social skills. And so just putting one more good app that teens actually use onto their phone every single day.
I love it. And then where do we find you on TikTok?
At L Christine. So I honestly, I have parents and teens who follow me. I'm also on Instagram, but I don't post as much there. I have parents and teens who follow me because I have a lot of parents who are like, okay, so what are teens saying about dating right now? Like what is the climate of teen dating? And so, and they can have conversations with their kids about it. My mom, she was like, oh my gosh, I saw your dated ideas video the other day. Like that was so good. Like, and then we like had a conversation around it, or I posted something about Snapchat and like being left unopened. And she sat down with me and she's like, okay, so what does this mean? Like, and you can have like an open conversation with your teen around it.
I love that.
Yeah.
So when do you get your results for your SATs?
Okay, so I took a PSAT, so I already have the results for that one. But my real SAT is on December 6th. So everybody wish me luck. I will I'm basically studying for the SAT and I'm trying to get 50,000 users by the end of my school session, which I think is like December 21st. So I'm pushing those two things. I need 1,500 and 50,000 users.
How many users do you have now?
I have about 10,000, but I haven't done marketing yet. So I'm honestly confused at how they found it. I'm like,
I mean, the 10,000 is great.
I know. I'm like, where did you find this app? Like, who is giving this to you? It's not really released yet. It was supposed to be a soft launch.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
You know, myself, I have a fitness app. And so having 10,000 members on there already I can't wait to see what your marketing does.
I'm really excited.
Yeah. Well, we'll put all of how to find you in the show notes, and I know you got to get back to school, girl.
I actually do have to get back.
I know. I'm like, your time's up. Well, thank you for coming by the studio.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Have a good school day.
The big silence. The big silence.